Welcome to the APEL webinar series. Today, this session is sponsored by APEL, or you can call it Apple, and it is sponsored by Educator Alexander. So the first thing that I want you to do is to make sure, I see we have more and more people signing in, which is awesome. Please make sure that you sign in. That's the only way that you can get your certificate for this session. So please make sure to go to educatoralexander.com/sign-in, or you can click, if you go to the web links box in the bottom right hand corner, you can click sign in and then click browse to, and it will take you there. A little bit about APEL. It is a professional organization for teachers and administrators. It is very non-political. No one's going to tell you who to vote for and things like that. It promotes teachers as professionals, and it is a nonprofit. I like to call it a non-union because you still get the same rights that you would get, or perks you can say, that you would get with a union, but it's not officially a union. So what are some of those perks? You still get your professional liability insurance coverage for up to $2 million. You get legal services and advice, $30,000 in grants and scholarships for teachers, and I am definitely a recipient of some of those grants. They're very easy to get. I love it so much. Awesome PD opportunities just like this one. Great cash bonuses for sharing it with your coworkers and being a recruiter. And you'll be a part of a statewide network of over 7,000 high-quality teachers. So to kind of break it down and give you my personal experience, these are 5 quick notes that honestly helped me decide to switch over from the union that I had for years and years and years as a teacher over to APEL. Number 1, that is only $16.58 per month. So, I mean, really let that sink in and think about what you're paying per month right now. So if you get paid twice a month, that's less than $9 per check. And you still have all of the same perks that you would have with your traditional union. You can apply online or through paper application. You know, I'm a tech gal, so once you say I can apply online, I like that. Another thing that helped me decide is that APEL actually broke up with my union for me because I didn't feel like going through that hassle. So once I actually did the application, I did a drop form, and they went to my union and dropped it for me. So I didn't really have to do any of that. So that helped me. Another thing is I don't like when unions, well, I didn't like when unions got really political and started telling me how to vote, and it was just a whole bunch of mess. So it meant a lot to me that they did not get political. And last but not least, I like that they accepted teachers and administrators because I knew one day I wanted to be an administrator and I didn't want to have to switch whoever I was with. So I like that they accepted both, and I knew that I could stay with them for a long time. So if you would like to become an APEL educator, on the sign-in, it asks you if you want more information, but in the email that I send out, it's going to have links where you can actually join. And this is, you can see that they are on Twitter and Facebook as well. All right. This is Google Classroom. How do you get to Google Classroom? You can go to your URL, or if you're using Google Chrome, your Omnibox, and you simply type in classroom.google.com. As of right now, you can only use Google Classroom if you're using a school domain. So if you're using like a @Gmail or anything that's a personal account, you cannot get to Google Classroom. You can only use Google Classroom if you're using your school email address, your school domain, and your school has to set it up for you. Now, can a single campus buy a domain? Yes, you can. Can a single person buy a domain? I'm not sure if Google allows that, but you can actually buy a domain as a person. So then you can use Google Classroom. But the thing is that if you just buy it for yourself, you won't have any students that can use it. So I've seen definitely individual schools that have done it, or your district will have to have done it. So you go to classroom.google.com. The first screen you're going to see is, it looks like a big old chalkboard, and you'll have this plus sign. And let me just say, this is a Google Classroom Basics class. So we're not going to get to everything in an hour, but you will be ready to actually use Google Classroom when you're done. So you'll see a plus sign. When you click on the plus sign, you have two options. You have Join Class and Create Class. When your students click on the plus sign, they will only have Join Class. So I'm going to go to Create Class. When I go to Create Class, I'm going to put in my class name. That's usually your class subject. So I'm going to put APEL webinar. For your section, that's usually your period. So I'm going to put 6 periods since we're starting at 6 p.m. And then when it says subject, if you put something there, it's actually not going to show up in your Google Classroom. So I usually just leave that blank. Now I'm going to click create, and it's going to create a Google Classroom for me. Yay! I have a Google Classroom. It's that simple. So now I'm going to show you the different things you can do to, of course, set up your Google Classroom. The first thing is the background. So you see I have my title up here, I have my period, I have my name, and I have my picture. So I'm going to come over here where it says select theme. If you're used to using Google Forms, this will look very familiar to you. You have a whole bunch of themes that you can use, and then you have different patterns that you can use. I'm going to use one of the most popular ones, which is the candy, the jelly beans. If you notice, when I changed my theme, it also changed my color. If I go to upload photo, I can actually upload a picture to put in the background. You have 3. Let me ask if we have any questions first before we move on. Any questions? Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. I'm going to continue. All right, we have 3 tabs. We have the stream, which I equate to your Facebook page, where everything you do ends up in your stream. It's the same thing here. You have your students tab, where all your students live. And then you have your about tab, this is where we're going to start. On your about tab, this is where you put information that your students will need the entire year. This is not where you come to put assignments. This is where you come to put things that your students will need the entire year, such as the syllabus, such as any formula sheets, grading sheet, anything that they're going to need to get to for the entire year or the entire semester. So you see that I have my title here again that I can change if I would like to. I can also put a class description. If it says optional, that means you don't have to put anything and this won't show up. I will warn you that anything you put on this page, your students will see. Your students have this exact same about tab. So don't come here to class description and put, the slow class, because then they're going to see that. Okay, so make sure that everything on this page is very appropriate, because that's what your students are going to see. So you have your class description. You have your room number. Anytime you create a Google Classroom, it creates a Google Drive folder. So if I click on this, it's going to go to my Google Drive. And you see that this is my classroom folder. If I click on classroom, you'll see all the classrooms I have set up. And this is the one that I have right now. Then you have your calendar. You can view your calendar in Classroom, or you can open up your calendar in the real Google Calendar. Viewing it in Classroom looks like this, and your students will have their own calendars as well that will have when things are due on it. And then if you open it up in the regular Google Calendars, it looks like your regular Google Calendar. Whatever you put right here, you're going to click Save. On this side, you see your picture, your name, and your email address, and your students will see all of this as well. Then I have Add Class Materials. When I click on here, it gives me a little box. It asks me for the title, so I'm going to call this a syllabus. And then I have 4 options. The first option is for you to add files or whatever you want to add from your computer. Recent, My Drive, and Start are all from your Google Drive. These are all the recent things that you have touched. This is everything in your My Drive. And this is anything that you have starred or made a favorite in your Google Drive. The second box is the exact same thing, except it starts with recent. But you see upload is also right here. So it's the exact same box. This is where you can come to upload YouTube videos. So you can actually do a search right here from this box. You see I just added that video. Or if you have the URL, you can actually copy and paste the URL right here. Last but not least, you have any type of link. Okay, so I added these 2 to syllabus. I'm going to hit post. Once I do that, add class materials comes back up. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to put formula sheets. And I'm going to add something from my drive. Let me add something else. This is fine. Alright. Then I can post it. And now I have 2 things. I can always come here to edit it or delete it. I'm actually going to delete this one because it's something else. Alright. So I have a question. Can you download documents from your desktop and document file also? Yes. This is this first one, this little paper clip. This is where you can download from your desktop. Or from your My Documents or anywhere you want to download from. And really, I keep saying download, it's really upload. You download, you're very welcome. When you download, you're taking something from the internet. When you upload, you're putting something on the internet. So you can upload from your desktop and all that good stuff. So the only thing that your students will not see on this tab is Invite Teacher. This is where you can come to invite another teacher to be a co-teacher with you in this class. So if you click on Invite Teacher, you can search for the teachers in your My Contacts. In my district, sorry, my mouth just went crazy. In my district, all of our teachers and students is listed under directory. And I'm not going to click on it because it will have student email addresses, but we're all listed under directory. The whole district comes up, and then you can search for your district. For the teacher that you want to be a co-teacher. That's it for the About tab. Any questions? Those of you who are just coming in, please make sure that you are signing in. You can go to the bottom right-hand corner where it says Sign In, and then click Browse To. Okay, Student tab. In my opinion, the easiest way to get students in your class is to give them a class code. So you would take this code, and it is all lowercase with numbers. They do have to put it in lowercase. You take this code, you write it on the board, you tell your students, go to classroom.google.com, hit the plus sign, and put in this code. Once they do that, their names will start being listed right here. What I'm going to do is actually go to a different class that actually has students in it so you can see what I mean. So this one has students. That's good enough. It has 1 student. All right. So you see I have my class code. If you click on the class code, you can actually reset it. Why would you do that? Well, suddenly I'm starting to get students popping in my class who I don't even know. That means your code got out. Someone has your code. Someone posted the code. Usually it's honestly not malicious, but it still can get out. So what you do is if you look at my code right now, if I reset it, is it's going to give me a completely different code. I can also disable the code. That means, you know what? I have all my students in class. I really don't need an active code anymore. And then when that brand new student comes, I can just click and enable it, and it gives me a fresh code. You notice it's always lowercase. The other thing you can do to get students in your classroom is to invite students. What you would do is click on this. You see you have that same box. So in my district, everything is under directory. And then you actually click on each student that you want to invite. Your search box will be your best friend if you want to do it this way. Because you would search for each student, click on them, and then click invite students. Once you do that, your students, this is a students page right here, your students will actually get a box like this, and it will say join. And all they have to do is click the join button. So, 2 ways to get your students in. Any questions? Okay, I see no one typing. Let's move on. Next, if you don't listen to anything else I say, please listen to this. When you start your Google Classroom, your default is that students can post and comment. That means anything that you can do, your students can do. You can post YouTube videos, you can post handouts, you can post pictures. If you never come and change this when you start your Google Classroom, your students can also post YouTube videos, they can post pictures, they can post comments. Anything you can do, they can do. The other option is that students can only comment. So they can't post stuff, but they can comment to each other and comment to you and comment to assignments and things like that. The last option is only the teacher can post and comment. That means students can do the work, but they cannot post and they cannot comment. You know where your babies are. You know what they can handle, especially at the beginning. So you need to come and set your settings. I'm not a huge fan of saying you should always say only teachers can post and comment, because we want to start teaching our students digital citizenship. We need to start teaching them how to make these mistakes that they're going to make. And I always say I'd rather them make the mistakes with me than make it after they graduate in the real world and have real world consequences. So you know what where they can be right now. You can always come and change this. You may want to start them on this and then gradually give them commenting. And so you know where they need to start. But I just want to show you that the default is that students can comment and post. When you get students in here, when you click on the student, the action button becomes activated. So if I click on this student, now I have actions. If I click on this checkbox, all of my students will be checked. These are the different actions you can do per student or per couple of students. You can remove them. Well, you know what? Practice classroom student dropped my class. So I'm going to go ahead and remove him or her. You can email them if your district has email turned on for students. Right now, my district does not, so this button is kind of mute. But if you do have email turned on, then this will be how you can email your students. And then you have the mute button. What the mute button does is if I do have it turned on to where students can comment, and this student, went ahead and put a bad word on there, instead of punishing the whole class, I can come here and mute that student. You can see that it says the student can still submit work. Other students won't see any work. They cannot reply to the classmate work, and they cannot comment and post. So you can actually come and mute students if they mess up. Excuse me, this is another button for you to email students if it's activated. The last thing on this page is all about parents or guardians. You can turn on email summaries for guardians or parents. This is how it will look for them. They will get a weekly email that tells them what the student is missing, what's due next week, and a little snapshot from all of the classes that have turned this on. If you want to do that, you just click here to turn it on. When you turn it on, you're going to get a box that says, do you want all of your classes turned on or just this one? It's up to you which one you pick. Then what you need to do is you have to go to every student's name and click Invite Guardian. When you do that, you have to add the parent's email address right here. If they have two parents or more, the parent has more than one email, however you want to do it, you can add them here, and then you do that one time and they're done. When you have parents in here, you can also email all of the guardians. That's it for this tab. Any questions? Okay, let's move on. This is a quiet group. Okay, let me go back to my other class. And here is my stream. You see, I have nothing posted yet in my stream. How do I get assignments and things like that posted? You always go to the big plus sign. I can't say the big green plus sign because it depends on what your theme is, what color the plus sign will be. But you go to the plus sign and you just hover over it and it gives you some options. The first option is to create an announcement. If I click there, the first thing I can choose is what classes do I want that announcement to go to. I can send it to just one class or to multiple classes. Then you type your announcement. Field trip tomorrow. Uh-oh, the bell just rung. I don't have time to finish this. I'm going to come down here and click Save Draft. Then I'm going to run out to bus duty. Anytime you save a draft, your draft will be saved up here. If I click Save Post, these are all the posts that I saved. Click it again, and now I can finish it. Bring your money. You have the same 4 options that I explained to you earlier. So you can attach anything you want to this. And then you have the option of doing topics. You see that there's a topic box over here. So what topics does is it helps you organize your Google Classroom. So if I say that this topic, you see I already have one on field trip. If I create a new topic and say this topic is about field trips. That way, every time I post about field trips, I can put it in this field trip topic. Say that fast. And then it will always be in that topic. I don't have to search for it. I can go to the topic and see everything that I ever said about that topic. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and post it. Notice that I now have a topic over here for field trips, and it shows me that that's all I have in there. And I have this, so my students will automatically see this pop up in their Google Classroom. And you see the student can add a comment because I left that on, even though this is mine. Next is to create an actual assignment. Same thing. I can send the assignment to multiple classes. I give the assignment a title. I'm just going to call it worksheet. I hope that you don't do that, but that's what it is. Okay, then I do my instructions right here. Blah, 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 blah. I give it a due date. I'm going to say that it's due tomorrow. If I don't click the time, then nothing will show up there. As soon as I click it, it always goes to midnight. But then, of course, I can change that. I'm going to change it to right around noon. I can give it a topic. And you see right here that it's automatically saving. I have the trash can to delete it. But I haven't added the assignment yet. So let me add something for my assignment. Let's see, we did some Elf on the Shelf stuff. So when I add the assignment, first and foremost, if you want your students to be able to type on the assignment, if you want them to be able to collaborate, it has to be a Google product, like a Google Doc, a Google Slide, a Google Sheet. That's why I usually tell people that you have to know Google Drive in order to use Google Classroom. You have to understand how Google Drive works. You have to understand how Google Apps for Education works. So you have three options. Again, I'm going to caution you that if you don't listen to anything else I say, listen to this. If you leave it, excuse me, the default is that students can view file. That means your babies can look at the file. So if you leave it on this and you tell them to go do an assignment, they're going to be highly upset with you when they come back to school because they're not going to be able to touch it. All they're going to be able to do is look at it. If you change it to students can edit file, you're like, yep, that's the one I want. That's perfect. But that is your collaboration mode. If you put it on students can edit file, that means all of your students can edit the same file. So this is your collaboration one. And again, you're going to have some angry students because students are going to be editing the same file and deleting stuff if you don't set it up as a collaboration. Now, if you tell them, hey, I want you to all work on this, then that's fine. But if you tell them to each turn in one and you leave it on that, that's not okay. The one you're going to use the most is make a copy for each student. When you do that, each student is going to get their own file in their Google Drive. It's actually going to be called the title of the file dash the student's name. So there is no more, oh, I forgot to put my name on it. It's the file itself will be called the file name dash the student's name. So then I can come here, I can either assign it right now. Oh, I think I assigned it. Oh well, I can show you the other options. Oh, that's not my document. That's a good teachable moment. That actually was a document that was shared with me, so I don't have the rights to share it with other people. So let me go and pick one that I have the rights. I have 50,000 files. Okay. That's fine, just for this. Okay, so when you assign it, you see that it tells me 0 is done and 0 is not done. That's because I don't have any students. If I had students, it would say 1 not done or 30 not done. And then as soon as students start doing it, the numbers just automatically start changing, which is kind of cool when you see it. I'm going to add another assignment just so you can see the different. Alright, so you can assign, you can schedule it or save it as a draft. So I already showed you assign and save as a draft. When you schedule the assignment, you can tell it, well, you know what, I want it to hit on Monday morning right at 8 o'clock. I want this assignment to just hit their account. So if you schedule it, you see that I have scheduled post right here. Schedule post 1. And of course I can just delete it if I didn't want it anymore, or I can leave it here. I'm actually going to delete it, but I can leave it there. The next thing is to create an actual question. This is your exit ticket. This is your bell ringer. This is a quick question that you can ask to multiple classes. You see, once you learn one thing, it's pretty easy to do it. It's all the same stuff. And you have the same 4 options. You can decide whether you want a short answer or a multiple choice. If you want a short answer, you have 2 options. You can have students reply to each other. That's if you already turned off that students cannot comment. You can actually let them reply to each other just for this question. And you can say that students can edit their answer. This is good because, you want to give them an option to correct themselves. Some people do not like it because if a student will go and, let's say, cyberbullying, that they put something really nasty on there, then they can go and edit it before the teacher can see it. So some people turn that off, some people turn it on. Again, you know your babies. So you put a due date on it, or you can say no due date. You can put a topic or say no topic. And then you put your question. How are you doing today? If you decide you want multiple choice, you have one option to allow the students to see a class summary. That means your students will be able to see how many people said yes, how many people said no. So if I say yes right here, if I can spell today, and no right here, and I leave this on, then students will be able to see how many people said yes, how many people said no. You have the same options right here. You can schedule it, save as a draft, or you can go ahead and ask the question. I went ahead and asked the question, and again, it's telling me that no students have answered it. Boo, students, even though they're not in my class. And last but not least over here is reuse post. What that is if you have a post that you really, really liked that you used for 5th period, and dang it, you forgot to share it with 6th period, or you have a post that you used last year that you just, it was just set up so perfectly. I can't redo it. It was a masterpiece. What you can do is come here and click reuse post. The first thing it's going to ask you is, hey, well, what class do you want to reuse a post from? Okay, well, I want to reuse it from this class. Select. Then it's going to say, well, these are all the posts you have. Which one do you want? Ooh, it was that worksheet. That's the one I want to use. So I'm going to click that and click reuse. You see that you can create new copies of all your attachments, which I told it to do. So it just made them a nice fresh attachment. And then now I can actually send it to other classes. I can redo stuff. I can add more. I can do whatever I want to with it. And then I can assign it. So you can reuse old posts. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Thank goodness. On this side of your stream, you have anything that's upcoming, and your students will see the same thing. You have your topics, and you can show deleted items on your stream if you want to. Once this goes away, you'll see you have a little question mark where you can ask, see what's new, but really ask a question. And guys, where it says on any Google product, where it says send feedback, that's honestly what Google reads to see what people want. So please take that seriously. If you're like, oh, I just wish they would do this, send the feedback, because this is what they look at to say, oh, everybody wants us to put a button here. You can also ask a question and get help. If you come up here to the hamburger, if you click on the hamburger, this is where all of your classes live. So you see that I like down here, it shows you what you are teaching, and then it shows you what you're actually enrolled in. A lot of districts are using Google Classroom for professional development, so you will start to be enrolled in more classes. If you go to settings all the way at the bottom, this is really important. See if you want your notifications turned on or off. If you have it turned on, that means every time somebody does anything in your Google Classroom, you're going to get an email about it. Some people really, really like it. I ran here and turned it off when people started using my Google Classroom. But I also don't use it with students, so it's really up to you. But I just want to show you that it is here. Changing your profile picture and all that, you see that this is for your entire Google account, not just Google Classroom. If I scroll all the way back up, I have my calendar. Same calendar that you got to under the About tab. And then I have my classes. You can absolutely get to your classes this way. Or you can get to your classes this way. For each class, you have your little hot dogs. If you click on the hot dog, you can edit the Google Classroom, or you can archive it. This is saying, you know what, I'm not going to use this right now. There is not really a delete, but you can archive it. Okay, I see I have a question. Let me stop. If I upload a Word document, can I switch it to a Google Doc to edit? Yes, you can. Absolutely. You can do that in your Google Drive. Absolutely. Then right here is your actual account information. That's the same thing that you'll see on any Google product. if you notice when I'm in a Google Classroom, there is no way for me to add another classroom. When I click the hamburger, there's no way for me to add another classroom. I have to come up here to classes and I get the plus sign again to create a new class. Any questions? Pretty straightforward, right? Pretty simple. Alright, so let me show it to you from the student side. Let me go to About and get my class, I'm sorry, Students, and get my class code. I don't know, it's not going to let me. I'm going to have to type it in. Alright, so this is what students see. Again, when they first log on, they'll see the big chalkboard with the little plus sign. If I click the plus sign, look at what it does. It doesn't even give me the join word, because that's all I can do. So let's see, my code is 2MP, 68X, 68X, and I think it was a 7. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to make one of these letters capital. Notice that as soon as they make anything capital, it's not going to work. So if you have a student raise their hand and go, I can't join, it's not letting me, that's the first thing you need to say. Make sure all of your letters are lowercase. Now it's letting me join the class. Yay! Now notice from the student's perspective, as soon as I join, I have every single thing that that teacher already put in here. So I don't have to be in the class beforehand. Let's start just like we started with you. I have my About tab. You see how I can see everything except for the Invite Teacher tab. I see everything that the teacher put in here. Instead of students, I have classmates. So it's going to show each one of my classmates in here, which I only have myself. I'm so lonely. Then I have my stream. Now you see I have a plus sign to create a post because my teacher said that I can post stuff. It's not going to have a plus sign like the teacher where they can create an assignment, but since I left post on, it's going to let them post and comment. Now I'm going to click the student can only comment. Oh, it took a second. But now the plus sign disappeared. Dang it. Now I can't post stuff. But I can still comment. Yay! Until that mean old teacher goes and makes it that only the teacher can comment and post. Now if I go back, it's going to take a second, but then this is going to go away. I think. It should. Alright, there it goes. I had activated it so it wouldn't go away. So now I can't even post. Now all I can do is work. Alright, so let's go ahead and do an assignment, and you can kind of see how that works. So you see that my assignments say not done open. This is the poll question. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes and submit. And then I'm going to come over to the teacher side. Oh, it says I'm done. Woohoo! I'm going to come over to the teacher side, and it's going to say that, yay, I have one done. You can see that now it says 1 for all of the not dones. So if I click on that one that did it, oh, it was Practice Classroom Student. He's always so awesome. Oh, he said yes, he understood. So good, I don't have to teach that anymore. Woohoo! You know what? I'm going to go ahead and give them some participation points. So I'm going to say that this is worth 10 points. Alright, I'm going to give you 10 points because you're awesome. Alright, and that's all I have to do. So now, from a student, I'm going to go ahead and try to do an assignment, and then I'm going to answer that question. So if I look at the worksheet, I'm going to open it, and this is a text, so it's probably not going to let me type on it, but that's okay. Then if I open the assignment, yeah, this is a text document, so it's not going to let me. It's not a Google product. So I'm going to tell my teacher, you told me to do this, but all I can do is read it. So I can come here whenever I am done and mark it as done. Or, you know what? My poor teacher, she's so stressed out. Let me go ahead and do the assignment in a Word document, and I'll just upload it. Because I know that's what she really wanted me to do. Poor baby. So your students can upload their work. If they want to create it, they can actually create it in their Google Drive. And then they can mark it as done. So they can read the passage, let's say, open up a Google Drive and do the work. Now, I mean a Google Doc, sorry, and do the work. Now, as the teacher, I would definitely put all that in the directions. I wouldn't let them just figure it out. But that is the different things that they can do. They can add a comment. You notice that it says private. That means it's going to come straight to you. And then they can mark it as done, and then they have to mark it as done again. I really love this because your students can never say, oh, I turned it in by mistake. Well, you sure clicked mark done a whole bunch of times by mistake. So mark as done, mark as done. What is this? Worksheet. Okay, so now I'm the teacher. So this should, oh, that's not the right one. It's the one down here. Okay, so it already says that this student got it done. And then as the student, I can unsubmit it if I'm like, oh, wait, no, that's not what I wanted. I can actually go and unsubmit it. And as the teacher, I can actually return it to them and tell them, hey, you need to do this again. So I've returned this to the student. And you can see that it says returned. And now I know I need to work on this and I need to resubmit it. I mean, just think about all the papers that you grade and all the little notes that you write. And you can do that all electronically now. And you see how quickly I'm doing it. I don't even deal with this part of it, the grading part of it, because I don't have students. I mean, you can see how quickly it is to do it. It's just not that hard. All right. So as a teacher, those are all the things you can do. As a student, if I click on the little hamburger, is this me? Yeah. All right, so these are all the classes I'm enrolled in as a student. And then I also can get email notifications turned on or off as a student. Now again, if your school does not use email, then your students will not get an email, because the student is logged in under the domain as well. So it's not like they can go on and say, oh, just send everything to my Gmail. They can't do that. So if the email is not turned on, your students will not get an email. Unfortunately, it's just part of the deal. And that is a very basic rundown of Google Classroom. Really not much to it. Honestly, I call it a storefront for Google Drive, because everything still happens in Google Drive. This is just an easy way to communicate with your students about the work. And they do have some third party. That's usually the Google Classroom Intermediate class. They do have third party websites that now you can actually assign work through Google Drive through their different websites. So if there's a worksheet website, you can actually click assign through Google Drive. It'll come here and you can actually assign it through Google Drive. Sometimes you have to go back to that website to grade it. Sometimes you don't. So it just depends on the different websites. But there's a lot of websites that are integrating with Google Classroom where you can just assign different stuff. You don't have to actually create it. So I just wanted to let you know that. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get questions. Okay, so I see a couple of questions. Okay, I answered that one. So do you delegate a time when you are on here, or does that work? I like how interactive it is. You honestly decide. I see we have a lot more participants. I'm not going to say to make sure you sign in. That's the only way you get your certificate. It's really up to you, Stephanie. I know some people that live on Google Classroom pretty much all day long. It really depends on what you're assigning your students and what you're having them do. If you're not really having them use it that often, then, not really. But if you're having them use it all the time, then yes, you'll be on there all the time too, just making sure that they're doing stuff correctly, making sure that they're not making any mistakes, especially if you have the comments and posts turned on. You have to be very actively involved, because you want to make sure they're not doing anything inappropriate. So that is kind of really up to you and how you're using it. How accessible is Google Classroom on mobile devices? Oh, absolutely. Very, very, very accessible. They have a Google Classroom app. I know many students who just use the app for everything. And the cool thing about the Google Classroom app that you can't do on a computer is right now, which is yay, 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 you can annotate. So even if you do put a PDF document on there, students can actually write on it. If they have a stylus or their finger, they can actually write on the PDF or anything on their app. So that's a really big feature that just came out. So if you want your students to use the app, they can absolutely annotate on stuff, save it, and turn it into you. So you really don't even have to make it a Google document if you're using the app, which is very, very exciting. Okay, so please go ahead and type out any other questions you have. What I'm going to do is to make sure people that came in late, if you did not sign in, that is the only way that you can get your certificate. So you just go to web links to, and you click sign in, and you click browse to, or I'm about to put the link back in the chat box. Just click on the link. I do want to share 2 upcoming APEL sessions with you. One is we do have a webinar coming up in January. It's January 21st, and it's on screencasting and creating a YouTube channel. No, Stephanie, this is to actually sign in. This is not when you signed in to Adobe. You have to go to this link and actually sign in to get your certificate. So if you're interested in screencasting, that's where you actually take a video of what you're doing on your desktop and explain it to, your students or your other teachers. So if you're interested in screencasting or creating a YouTube channel, this would be a very, very fun session for you. You get a lot of different, resources. So this would be a really, really good session for you. And then we also have a Google Summit coming up. And the Google Summit goes you get some of the same stuff that I just did because you need to know how to use it. And then it goes into every aspect of Google. Google Chrome, Google Forms, Google Apps for Education, Google Drive. I mean, you will know Google when you leave here, and you'll be comfortable using it. So we do have a Google Summit coming up. I want to make sure to let you know the registration just opened today. And we do have a limited seat, so this is a good opportunity. I wanted to make sure to share that with you. And last but not least, we have an evaluation. Exporting grades. You can export grades. I can share my screen again and absolutely show you that. So we're going to go to, let's say, the assignment. You see the little gear? You can copy all grades to a Google Sheet, and you can download all your grades. So it's that simple. That's all you do to export your grades. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you so much for coming. Go ahead and stay in to do your evaluation and your sign-in. When you are done, you can just click the red X. And I thank you so much for coming. If you need anything, definitely just let me know. My email address, I'll go ahead and type that in. Okay, my email address is there for you. And thank you so much. I hope you learned a little bit to get started with Google Classroom. Y'all have a very, very, very good day. You're very welcome, everybody. Y'all have a great day.